Talk Show says I hear the music, so that's a good sign. Hopefully you can hear me talking as well. You can hear me. Yes, that's exciting because I'm using a brand new setup today that I'm not used to using. And so I'm like even more confused than normal, right? It's hard to get these things going with all the controls I have going. I actually switched to a 2-stream setup. And I've got the audio going into a different computer and everything. Oh my gosh, it's really complicated. But that's going to enable two things, as far as I can tell, and what I'm hoping for. Is the first will be... the first thing it will enable is that my computer will be not bogged down by streaming. So when I start Visual Studio, hopefully... Well, air quotes on hopefully? No. Hopefully... it will run better and faster. And second of all, I can now have guests. And so hopefully soon I'll be having some Skype guests, bringing people in to the show to have some fun. Thank you for anybody who's out there. I appreciate your being around. Say hi if you feel like it, or if you just want to hang out in the shadows, that's fine too. Everybody's welcome. And oh my gosh, it's been another crazy week with, the topic everybody knows, this self-isolation stuff is really making things interesting. And I'm itching to get out. I don't know about you guys. I am starting to feel a little bit of the walls closing in on me. So I tried going for a drive in my car, and that did not help. I kind of went on a drive to nowhere. That didn't help at all. But what works great for me is walks. I've been taking nice long walks every day and trying to get some fresh air and things like that. Hey, Rich is now hosting me. Appreciate that. And so, look, for the first time ever, I've got animations. Now, most of these animations are the default animations. This is some crazy zombie thing. I don't know why. That is the default animation. But I customized the animation for follow, and I'm all excited. So if anybody's watching and wants to follow me, you can always unfollow me after you check the thing. We can see what happens. We can see if it works. So I added some animation for that. I'm trying to take my stream to the next level, like really step things up a little bit. And someone's following me. Wait, let's see. Rich Ross is now following me on Mixer. You see that? Thanks, Rich. Thanks for the follow, and thanks for helping me test this. Hope you like that thing. It stays a little long. I think I can customize that. I found out it's really not that hard to add these little animations. We're going to get to some coding, too, in a minute, because that's what we're here to talk about. Here to write some code. But I started adding animations and things like that. It's kind of cool. It's kind of easy. And I feel like that's what all the streamers do. You got to have all this cool streaming stuff. So I'm learning. I'm getting better with this. Let me see. What are we going to work on today? Well, let's go to my... Is this the scene I want to show? Yeah. So here's my desktop. I can close all these things. This is all the junk we've been working on. And I think I'm taking it kind of light today. Definitely need to finish by 1, which is always the goal, to finish by 1 o'clock. And definitely I have a meeting today, so I want to make sure that none of us are running late for whatever we have to do at 1 o'clock. And I was a little concerned about this new setup. So I think what we're going to do, first of all, I'm streaming. Let's see how well Visual Studio works. Let's see if it works better now that I don't have streaming going. Let's see if my sound effects work. If I go like... it's coming. That's faster, if I'm not mistaken. And it's kind of hard to remember. But I think that was a faster execution time for getting my debugging rolling up. So I'm really happy that I freed up resources on my computer and everything is working good. And hopefully you hear these. Let's see, I'm just checking my audio meters. Yeah, I think that's going out. That drum roll goes out. So that's cool. So I got animations, I got sound effects, I got better processing power. This is Shwami Streams 2.0, baby. We are having fun. So, all right. So here's the website that I've been building. It's the Schwami Streams website, and it has the archives feature. I always start off each day with like a little rundown of what we're working on. So the archives are really bad, as you can tell. And so what I want to do is clean up some of the UI and get this thing ready to go live with it. So I'll have to get rid of some of this junky data that's in here too. And hey, and this is the best episode ever. It's the one we had last week, and Freestyle was on the stream, and Freestyle told us about blocking. And honestly, I'm like, what was that blocking thing that Freestyle told us about? Oh my gosh. Blocking and something. Hey, Freestyle's here. Hey, Freestyle. What were we talking about with the blocking? I don't even remember what that was. Oh my gosh. But you live on. You're famous. Thanks for being here, Freestyle. Thanks so much. What was it that blocking that you were... I don't even remember. Oh my gosh. Well, anyway. We're going to clean this up. We're going to take it light. Clean this stuff up. It says I'm not logged in, so we're going to add that page where we can add these things. That's the other thing we need to do. There's no URL for that. I don't mark code as... Oh, thank you, Freestyle. You got a much better memory than me. Yeah, so we were talking last week about should we have methods with the word async at the end, like get data async or, update data async. Hey, Kev Griff's here. Hey, Kev, how are you? Nice to see you here today. And so Freestyle we were talking about, how long would we continue to put the word async at the end of methods? And Freestyle already started to take away and just use the word get, and everything is async by default. And if it's not async, Freestyle puts blocking as the word at the end. And so it's sort of like flipping the model over, which I think is definitely the future. I don't know if I'm ready to commit to that yet, but anyway, that's what blocking was, and I couldn't remember. So thanks. So glad you're here. So glad you're chiming in, and we have the comments going. And so let's see what we're gonna do. So I started last week on this again, taking it easy this week. I think I had this controller. Where was it? It's the episode history. Oh, not controller. Sorry. What did that say? Why is this controller in the home? What the heck is that? How did this? Whoa. I screwed something up. Controller is under the views and not under the home? That's interesting. I don't know how I did that. Let's move that up there and see if it still works when I do. Wait, I better stop debugging. So, not sure how I did that. I probably highlighted the wrong folder when I added it. I didn't notice. And, hey, I'm just going to blame it on you guys because somebody should have been covering for me. Somebody should have been watching my back when I put that in the wrong folder, right? It's not me. It's definitely... you guys who didn't have my back. All right. No, can't blame anybody for my own clumsiness. Let's call that clumsiness. So this episode history controller, since we are secure now, it does have this authorize attribute on it. So since it has that authorize attribute on it, let's make sure it's still working. I just moved it, so let's try that. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to type in episode history, I guess, index or something like that when it comes up. Oh, and it's opening in the wrong window, but that's okay. Wrong screen. Just checking some things here. Okay, so I should be able to go to /episode history, and I guess it would default to the get, and it should make me log in, or it might auto log me in. Okay, this was that thing we've been getting before because it's trying to redirect to index because we don't really have that. But if I go back to, was it create? Let's try that. Yeah, okay. So it works and it has me logged in. So I want to clean up a little bit of this. And let's see. So So why don't I simply go to the menu? Maybe you guys can help me with this. When I go to my layout, so this has nav items. So this is that is authenticated. It's supposed to say hello user identity.name, and it's not saying the name, which means I'm not returning the right data from Azure. I was playing around and I screwed up some settings on my Azure site, so we'll take a look at that in my Azure AD stuff that returns this stuff. But I think this says nav item, and what should that say to make it like level? Why isn't it level? I have an LI, which is a nav item. Maybe I need something inside the nav item. I am so out of the loop with menus and like how to make that. It's not a link. It's not a link, and there's no way to log in. So how do I get that to come down? Maybe it needs to have nav item. This is a nav link. This is an LI class nav item. I need to wrap this in something to get the formatting to work. You know what? Let's take a quick look at. Let's take a look at Bootstrap. Get Bootstrap and try to remember how to do menus. I guess that's under maybe components, navs. So I have these are all links. What if I just want to put text? I don't know. Vertical. This is tabs, pills, fill, and justify. These are all links. What if I just want to put text? What if I just want to put text in here? I know I can do this. Maybe I just have to hack it? That seems wrong. Oh my. Oh my. Well, I could put it in a nav link class. It won't be a link, but I wonder what that would do. That's pretty lazy. Let's do span. Maybe if I just put it in a span, it would work anyway. I think span would that. Is there any difference between doing that and doing that? I don't know. And let's just say class equal. Well, let's see if maybe I get some help here. Nav item. We already used nav item. It's not a link. It really bothers me to say nav link on this, I'll be honest. But I guess we can try it. I don't know. This is one of those days where I don't really know what I'm doing. Let's just change this to say not logged in. And see if that helps at all. I'll run this real quick. I am not going to spend a lot of time on this. This is not the fun stuff. I don't know. I don't like layout stuff. I want to just kind of hack it, if I'm being honest. I just want to hack it and make it work. Look at that, it worked. It worked. Now it still doesn't have my name. Let's put a breakpoint in there and find out why it's not showing my name. But putting nav link treats it like any other link, I guess, and lines it up right. Was it formatted correctly? It was still. I mean, obviously not a link. I could change the color because it's kind of gray. But let's run that again and see what happens. So the identity has is authenticated as true. And let's see. Name is null though. Why is name null? That's weird. So that means I'm not returning something right from Azure in my AD. And I was playing around with that stuff. I'm going to take a quick try at fixing that and not spend a lot of time on that. Portal.azure.com. I got Azure Mask running, so hopefully that'll work. It's always a little sketchy, but let's see. Here's my subscription. I want to go into. Do I have AD over here? So Azure AD. Where's good old, just plain old Azure AD? What am I missing here? Advisor. If I just put in active, Azure Active Directory. I guess it doesn't like AD as an abbreviation. So under app registrations, that's my streaming app. And in here, let's see if I can remember this. Under authentication, I should have ID tokens. And this is not it. It's not this. Ooh. Well, this is user.read, so that should give me the stuff I need. And somewhere, I'm not an expert with this, somewhere there's a little UI where you can configure something. I don't think it's this. That's the groups thing. Owners, roles, administrator. It's not, I mean, it's probably in this manifest somewhere if I knew what it was. But there's a way to say, it's got to be in this thing where I say I want to do tokens. Then there's a way to say what goes out. Maybe it's only in this one. Access tokens. I could check both those, but I don't think it's that. Where is the thing I'm looking for? Darn it. Oh, man. So hard to remember how to do this stuff when you don't do it often enough. So unless it's under, I'm just going to look for another minute here. Clients and secrets. This is the stream key. Authentication. It's where I do this and I add that. I don't remember. Default client type. It's not this. I don't know because this used to work. So I was doing another demo and I know I broke this. Well, so who cares right now? That's honestly the way I feel about this. Who cares right now? Because I'm the only person who's ever going to log into this website for now. So it really doesn't matter if it just says hello and I don't have my name. All right. So what I want to do is I want to add this thing to the... Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another one of these things in here. Except this time I'm going to follow the same thing. And now if I'm logged in, I'm going to go to the controller called episode. So if you've never used this kind of Razor-y kind of UI, in my UI here, in my layout, which is the parent layout of the whole thing, I'm going to say if the user is authenticated, then I want to have a link to go in there and edit the episode histories. And so the episode history is, you know what, I think there's even an easier way to do this now, but I want to go to episode history. I probably should go to like the root of it, which is the index. Why don't I do that? And then I have to play around with this a little bit because there is no index. And that'll show that just for me. So if I go to episode history controller index, I think what I'm going to do is create. All right, so let's go to the same way I did it for the home controller. I want to get all the episodes, right? And then I want to display them, and that'll be my page for that. So I'm really just going to copy this over here. I hope that makes sense what I'm going to do. I basically want to just go to like a default view, which lists out all the episodes. And I already had the episode history orchestrator in there, so that's pretty easy. I have page size on there. You know, let's just, I don't know what if I don't put anything. Maybe it's okay, because I don't really want to. Well, we'll leave it that way for now as page size. I don't know what that's going to do. Just to try to see if we get this thing working. And now I'm going to generate my view. And I do like this kind of stuff. It's probably never going to be the final perfect views, but for just simple CRUD stuff like I'm doing, let's create a list and my model is going to be based on the, what is it? It's probably an episode history. Let's see, what is this thing? Oh, I can't go back to it now because I'm on the screen. Blocker. This is a list of show history DTOs. All right, I'm going to rename those later, but let's show history DTO. Add view. Index, it's going to be a list. And the model class will be a show history DTO. Show history DTO. And if I create that, that's going to create this simple UI for me pretty easily. It'll pass that data through to it, and we should be able to run this. And it's expecting me to have these buttons here for edit and things like that, which is good. We'll make that pretty quickly. Let's just test it and make sure that works. And hey, I don't know what you got planned for this evening, but the Dev Talk Show runs at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, whether that's Eastern Daylight or Eastern Standard or whatever the heck it is. But right now, you know, it's Eastern Standard? No, Eastern Daylight Time. And I can take this breakpoint away. And on the Dev Talk Show, we'll be having some fun tonight. Rich Ross, Chris Gomez, and myself, as usual, talking about developer stuff. All the things that we do for our jobs, whether it be topics about running our teams or coding or using frameworks or whatever it is. We have fun with that. You can find the Dev Talk Show on Mixer and Twitch. We're also on YouTube, but that one you can use video.thedevtalkshow.com for YouTube. Otherwise, we're at Mixer and Twitch/The Dev Talk Show. And hope to see you around there tonight. Always a good time. Always have fun. Right now, I left that link. It says privacy. How funny is that? Okay, so it must be this one because it says down here in the URL, it says episode history. So that's another one. I guess I wasn't paying much attention to that. And it takes me in here. Okay, which is good. Now, if I log out, and I can check that by F12ing. And if I remove that cookie right here, it will have me unauthenticated. And it won't show that URL, if I'm not mistaken. Refresh. And now I don't see that second silly URL, even though it said privacy. And if I try to go to it, which was episode history, it's going to authenticate me before it gets you there. Look at that. And it took me right into that. And it's authenticating me using automatically against my my Windows authentication against my Azure account. So it just kind of works seamlessly, which is perfect for this circumstance that I need. So that's working pretty well. And if you don't know how to do that, you can look back on old episode. Now that's what this whole episode history is going to be, is that you'll be able to go in here and say like, oh, where's the one where Andy was talking about how to do Azure AD and stuff like that. But you can find that on my YouTube channel in the archives, youtube.com/Shwami Streams, where you can find that. So we have this, and I'm going to go through and do some like basic ASP.NET, Razor to Love kind of stuff, where I build out these different things. And this shouldn't be too hard to wire up, if I'm not mistaken. First things first, I'm going to fix that URL before I forget. That's going to bug me. Of course, I left those texts saying privacy, so we'll say this, manage episodes. That's where that's going to take me. Okay, so let's see. So if you've never done this before, the default templates make this pretty easy to do. And so this is, by the way, one of the goals for this stream is going to be to take this basic UI that I'm creating with this sort of standard ASP.NET stuff, and then create like a Blazor version of it, create an Angular version of it, create all these different things. Maybe I'll use a React version of it, whatever it is I want to do, and use this as a sort of platform, as a starting point for all those kind of things. That's kind of what I'm hoping to do. And if you have any suggestions on things you'd like to see in there, feel free to throw those at me. For now, Just going to stick with the basics. And quite frankly, I'm just happy this thing is running so seemingly smoothly. By the way, for those of you that are streamers, you'll get this kind of stuff. I've got no frames that are skipped, no frames missed due to rendering lag or anything like that. I'm looking at my console over here, and that's good news. That is really good news. And I think it's going to be more important when we get Skype in here and we start having some fun with guests. All right, so let's go back to our controller, and I want to go to, well, we already have this create thing. So let's go to, in the index, there should be a link for create new, and there is. So that should actually work already. And then, I didn't even try that. That should just work. Let's make sure that's still working. Oh my. Oh my. Anybody working on anything interesting? Feel free to share. Quiet day today in the chat, but that's okay. I know sometimes viewers are multitasking and working on different things as I do sometimes when I watch streams. I get it. All right, so this takes me in here and create new. Cool. Takes me to the episode title. We'll call this, this episode is called you adding, I don't know, I'll call it like, you know, more UI for episode management, something like that. And in here, I could be like, you know, did some basic Razor, MVC Razor stuff, right? Tags, I haven't really put that in there yet. This is also, this air date is defaulting. I don't even know if this field works yet. Let's try that. Today is, what is going on? Oh, January. Oh, look at that. I guess I don't have the default. Oh, because this wasn't like defaulting me. Isn't there a today? Oh, here's today. Okay, cool. Let's see what happens if I do that. That'll be nice. And in tags, I could say something like MVC, comma, Razor, you know, whatever the show's about. And the archive URL is something I'll add later. That'll be like the YouTube URL, you know. And so if I save that, it should redirect to index, which I now have an index, so it should be on this page. And look, there it is at the bottom. So it's funny, remember I had that, I had a parameter set to do paging, and clearly that's not implemented yet because it's not stopping at 10. But look at this. All right, so I'm starting to get some details into here. This detail isn't showing, oh, okay. I need a different details object because this doesn't show all of the details. Now I could go to a, well, I could do this. I could go to a details view. Let's do that. Okay, we've got a feature to add. So what I want to do is when I click details, I want to go to the details view, and I want to do something like episode history orchestrator dot get, and this is going to get me an episode history result. That's going to get me one of them. Where's the list? Where's the one that's add episode? What am I missing here? Let's take a look at this orchestrator and see what kind of things it's capable of doing. What's in this API? Nothing right now. Okay. So let's go to backend and look at my orchestrator. So I have add episode async. We know that works. I have get history. Is that not in the... okay, that's up here. That gets one. That gets a history. Boy, that's one of those weird... where's the thing that... This can't be right. Oh, this is a... This thing has a list of data in it. Okay. So this is going to be what I want. I want to do this. No, I want a single one. So I'll just call it get episode for now. Okay, let's just call it get episode details. So let's go into here. Let's add a new method. I think I'll stick it right at the top here. Public async task and select result of episode. Oh, I don't have an episode detail. So we need a new DTO. How about that? So this is like where we're doing one step at a time here. So let's think about the fact that I need a DTO. I have an add episode DTO. I have a history DTO, which is really like when I'm doing show history. That's like I'm showing a list of them. And a get, which one's it? What's the difference between these two? Oh, a get history. Oh, this is the thing that you take. This is the parameters. This should probably be called like a get history parameters DTO. All right. So I've got a lot of poor naming. And you know what? I find that I don't discover my naming is bad until I start to use it, honestly. Because I'm not doing like, waterfall where I plan everything out. I don't mind making some small, if you want to call these mistakes, I just try to go with it, and it's agile. So I'm naming things as I go, and I'll figure it out, and patterns will start to develop. So this is going to be called a history episode detail DTO, I think. Let's go with that name for now. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I don't expose my data models to the UI, right? Look, it doesn't even support. That's interesting. This doesn't even have these fields yet. I probably haven't even added them to the database. So I'm going to need to do that. Well, that's interesting. Right. So let's go ahead and just put these into the episode detail DTO for now, and then we can expand upon what kind of fields this thing has. I hate all this stuff. Let's remove and sort usings. So now I've got this object, and I like to work simple. I only put in the feature I needed. I didn't need those other fields yet, and they don't exist in the entities and things like that. So back to my orchestrator, I'm going to say that this thing returns an episode detail DTO. I'll call it get episode detail, and probably pass in an ID. That's probably the way that'll work. And so in this case, I'm going to create the way I always do things. I just create this thing, result equals new return result. Okay. Dev Talk Show. Sometimes thinking about all the naming patterns and structures can tend to prevent me from just starting to code. Those other items can always be refactored later. Thanks for the comment. That's sort of the way I feel about this stuff. That's kind of what I'm saying. There's a time that it matters and there's a time that it doesn't. So in this case, it really doesn't matter. I'm working solo. Usually the way I work when I work with teams is if I'm exposing an API to another team, we may have a quick meeting and agree upon the API layer, like what method I should name my outermost API method and what kind of parameters it should take and give back, what kind of data it should give back, and sort of just plan that out just enough so that the teammate or the other team that I'm working with can sort of stub things out on their side and make it start to work. But this internal stuff really doesn't matter. It's just whatever I want to do. And as the project gets bigger and bigger, I think that the patterns just sort of evolve and then we come up with things. But I'm just trying to really think on the fly. We really want to be able to move and get things done. And that's the idea here. So in this case, let's see now. I'm going to need to call down to my data service to get me one of these things. So under Mini, I have data services and I have an episode data service, which only has it only has a get episodes and an add episode. So let's go ahead and add that, right? Public. I'm sort of going to build this whole stack all at once. Now, some people might say, oh, let me work on my repo. Let me work on my data service. Let me work on my validators and get all those up. I'm working sort of across the stack here. It's fine. So this is going to be an episode. I don't know what I call them at this level. I think they're called episodes in the database. Episode, yep, because there is add episode. Public episode, get episode. And I won't even call it episode details. It's just going to be an episode. And I'll say int ID And now I have an episode repository. Does it know how to return data? I think it has, well, it has all. I could add a find method to it, which is what I would normally have at a repo layer. But that's okay. I can fix it later just to keep things moving. I'm going to say all dot where. Oh no, let's do all dot single. E dot ID equals ID. Now, I had some decision to make there, although it might not have seemed like it. Oh, let's do single. There's no single. Oh, there is no single async, right? Or am I just not missing that? I think there should be a single. Maybe this isn't async. There should be async. How did I do? This one is an iQueryable, so it returns. Oh, well, because it's all single. Well, there should be a single async. Maybe I just don't have it in the thing. Like maybe it'll tell me about it now that I do that. Yeah, using Microsoft Entity Framework Core will give me the async method. So cool. So let's make this async. I'll make it a task of episode. So I have some nice asynchronicity there. And then I'm going to say bar result equals await. And I could just return this all in one line. I like to do it like this a lot of times. Return result. I just find it a little easier to sort of look at, sometimes for debugging and stuff like that. So this thing will give me back my episode. I need to add this up into my interface. Okay. And now go back to my orchestrator. And now I'm going to say episode data service dot get episode, and I'll pass in my ID. And now this, so here's a problem. I didn't say get episode async. We were talking about this before. Now I didn't call this one, well, this one returned an iQueryable, so it didn't really need to be marked async. This one really needs to be called get episode async. The reason this one didn't need to be is because the toList would async it later. But yeah, that's a little sketchy, so maybe we'll come back and look at that too. Let's change this to get episode async. That's one of the ones that I always forget until I go to use it. And I'm like, oh yeah, should have called it get episode async. And I'll say await. And I can even do something like result dot. And in this case, it's my results. It's kind of bad naming, so I never really think about that for single items. That was because I was building them one at a time. This is taking a, oh, this is a list. Oh, I can't use this. Okay. Select result. Ooh, that's not right. Oh, because select result is made to do lists. So it has this thing of a list on it. Okay. So, and this is something that I hadn't really spec'd this out. In my normal coding, I have all these base classes for result objects that allow this to work really seamlessly, but I didn't want to inject those into this new project. I wanted to see how it gets built and how it all comes apart like organically. So this thing is assuming a list. Okay. So there's a couple ways I could do this. I could call this a select list result, and I could have another select result, or I could make the list be part of the T that it takes in. And I've done that in other places, but I think maybe I'll try renaming this to select list result. Okay. And that should work for me. And then I'm going to copy this and say select result. Again, more refactoring on the fly. And this one will have result. Sometimes I call it data. Sometimes I call it entity. I don't know. I'll just call it the result, which gets a little strange, but let's go with that. It could be item down here in persisting. I called it an item. How about I call it item because it's the item I'm selecting. I like that. So now, if I go back to my orchestrator, this is going to be a select result, and a select result, and a select result. Okay, and now I can say result.item should be, oh, no, of course not. Right, this is my database object. So why don't I do this first? Okay, I'm skipping steps, not really thinking, but it became obvious to me as I looked at the code here. So let's do var item. This is the item I want to get. Okay, now I need to convert that into a, I need to convert my data model or my domain model into a model that goes out. So I have a converters thing and I have an episode history converter. And so I have 2 DTO and I'm going to make a new one of these. Again, I'm really just kind of, this is where I bend the rules on single responsibility a little bit. I'm going to call it 2 details DTO. Okay, so it's a longer DTO. In this case, there are no other properties, so I have to fix that later. But in this case, this will be good, and this will make it pretty easy for me to refactor when I add more fields onto this thing. So let's just see if I can get that thing going. So in my orchestrator, I get the item. Then I'm going to use my converter and take that episode history object and say I want to turn it, oh, I didn't add it to my interface. So let's just throw this up in here. This is where I do my Bob Ross. And let's imagine in our world we need another converter. And we're just going to take that little converter, we're just going to put it up there into our nice little interface. And isn't that lovely? I need to do like one of these, I need to get a green screen so I can do like a backdrop and have like a Bob Ross backdrop with me so I can go into like Bob Ross mode. That would make me really happy. So let's just do 2 detail DTO. I pass my item into there. And now this object is what's going to go into my result.item. Okay. Now, I might show history DTO. Oh, I returned the wrong type. I am really kind of go fast here. This is going to be, what did I call it? Episode detail DTO. And I got to fix it up here as well. You know, I like to think I'm a little bit more on top of my game these days. I am feeling so cloudy with all this work from home stuff. Really. So some of you guys work from home every day and some of you don't. I don't like working at home every day. I'm gonna come right out there and say it. I work at home usually 2 days a week, Wednesdays and Fridays, and I love it. And this working at home every day thing, I find really actually affects me. I don't think it's great for me personally, but everybody does their own thing, right? All right, so let's see. So I've done this. So where am I? I'm right here. So this little orchestrator doesn't do much. It's this method is very single responsibility. The orchestrator is stretched a little bit, but the get episode detail basically gets it and converts it and returns it. So now if I go to my, let's close some of these things. I hate having too many things open. And let's go to my controller. And I'm going to say get, oh, didn't add that to the, let's go back and put this, let's go back and put this up in my interface because I use interfaces to make testing and all that kind of stuff easier, and dependency injection work nicely with all my interfaces. And I can come up here and say get episode detail. I'll pass my ID into here. And this also should have been called async. Oh my. I'm going to put the async on here now. Let's go back to this thing. Andy, I'm going to lose my street creds. Get episode detail async. It is async. Call it async. That's always a good reminder that I need to say async here and say var item equals await. I wonder if everybody does the same thing like I do. I find myself doing this so much. This needs to be a task of action result and cleaning up my little async mess. And that's good. Now, of course, wasn't happy with the lack of space there. That should fix itself. Oh, what is this thing? Equal sign in there. Okay, so now I'm going to take my item and I'm going to pass it into here so we can see the details, and I'm going to generate a view using the MVC magic of this kind of thing. The view tail is going to be called details. I'll use a details view. My model class is the episode detail DTO. Okay, if I add that, oh, look at that. Could not get reflection from model episode detail DTO. Why not? Model class episode detail DTO. Don't recall ever seeing that before. Great. I did details and I added that view. Episode detail. Did it do anything? Sometimes it does things, but I don't see it under here under details. Oh, let's try compiling. Maybe I have a problem. Look at that, I have a problem. That's probably what it was. Of course, because this, I was really moving fast with this and I'm returning the wrong, remember I already fixed the return type and I didn't even fix the thing that it returns. Really lazy. And I'm embracing my laziness today, quite frankly. Hope you don't mind, but I'm embracing it because I just feel like it's one of those days. I shouldn't feel so bad because I don't know if my camera has it. It's nice out today. So I don't know if it looks good when I'm streaming. I'm going to keep that shade closed. But I'm going to get some fresh air. I need some fresh air after this. Feeling like cabin fever. So now I'm willing to guess that was the reason that this didn't work. So let's go to details. And so there's a tip, right? I put these things in on purpose to see if maybe you have a similar problem and you can't create that thing. The problem is probably that your code doesn't compile, right? I'm just here to help. I make mistakes on purpose. And of course, if anyone believes, well, today's April Fool's Day. I wouldn't call that a great April Fool's joke, but maybe I'm the April Fool. And that was my joke here. So I don't know. When you got to keep talking, you got to keep coming up with things to say. So, see, and it worked that time. And it's going to give me this detail, which doesn't have a lot of stuff going in here. Compile is the first unit test. That's the truth. And I haven't done any unit tests today, and I'm going to be adding those in after I finish this. But you're right. Compiling is the first test. It probably shouldn't be. We should probably have more... I remember days, and I say this, I don't personally, I didn't experience this because I came into software development a little later in life. I didn't go to school for this. But I remember my friends from school, you didn't want to rely on compiling as a test because what I understood, it would take a long time to compile. And you wanted to be really confident about how that compilation would run, I guess. This is the story I recall. I recall a friend of mine would call me and he would be working on something and I'd say, what up? I thought you're working on a project. He goes, well, it's compiling. So I figured I'd give you a call because I have 20 minutes or something like that. And I never experienced that. But in those days, that is not the route you want to take. Rich Ross says, yeah, but at least we have one test. And I'm with you on that. At least it compiled. Let's see. So you know what I can do? I can use my link here again. This is going to take me to that edit mode, which I might want to do. And let's make this ID. Okay. And I'm not going to go too far with any of this kind of stuff. But this should work. And let's see what happens when it works. By the way, I have a full If you can see this here. A full lunch. I barely ate anything before I started today. Maybe I'll take a bite. Am I allowed to do that? While it's, you can hear me chewing. I need like a chewing sound effect. I don't have one. That's about it. That's all I got. Manage episodes. Takes me to this. Let's go to this one. If I go to details. Oh, bam! Enumerator failed. I probably have the ID wrong in here. You know what? I thought about something. As I was changing this right here and putting model.id, I was thinking about this details view. Is it this one? Well, edit does not pass in. All right, so none of these things are passing in. I forgot to uncomment this out. I knew something like that was going on. So let's just say ID. As a matter of fact, even though these don't work, yeah, this will work too. Let's change all these and fix those up and put ID in there. And you know what? I'll just go like this. Like that. Sort of saw that coming. So what this does is it takes the ID from the value, and hopefully my list has ID. I think it does have IDs on it. It's going to take the ID property and it's going to pass that to the edit link or to the to any of the controllers I have. And this is sort of this out of the box implementation of the way this can work. And I'm bringing it back over here. All right, so I go to manage episodes, and now I can go to the details of this one. Come on. Oh, come on. The view dictionary instance record. Oh, I know what the problem is. So, yep, I'm in a hurry here. I'm doing things strangely. So, if you remember, in my controller, I don't see controller up there. In my episode history controller, so my get episode detail async does not return an episode detail. It returns a result, a select result of that type. So what I really want to say is dot item. Okay. And again, if I had put some unit tests on this, I would have figured that out sooner. But I wrap all of my orchestrators, I wrap them in returning a more complex object like a select result or a persist result. And that gives me the ability to put other detail into that, like a set of messages or a status or things like that. And I'm not really paying a lot of attention to that right now, but I will. I will come back and sort of address that later and make this more robust. But here's details, item, okay. And third time's a charm. I think my drum roll will be long enough for this. Oh wait, I should do my drum roll over here after I click the... I'll put my drum roll in when I go to manage episodes. All right, who's ready? Ready? Look at that. Thank you. Thank you. I know that was complicated stuff, and I appreciate all the applause. Let's click edit. Let's see if that works. This should... I don't know if I fixed that link. Yeah, so I didn't fix that link either. Okay, no problem there. But I can go back to list. Thanks, Rich Ross. Appreciate it. Appreciate the love there. So in my newest UI that was called details, I had edit model ID. Huh. Maybe. Oh, you know what? I wonder if my episode detail. Oh, it has the ID. So why didn't that one work? Why didn't that one work? I still have it running? I didn't look at that too closely. Let's find out what's up with that. If I go to details and I click edit, and I can see the URL down here at the bottom. This is the URL it's going to try to go to. Episode history edit 17. Oh, I don't have an edit. I have a create. That's right. I never made an edit one. So that would be pretty easy to do. But you know what? It's like 2 minutes to 1. I think what I'm going to do is check in my code. And I'll say, what did I do here? Started episode history controller view details, stuff like that. Okay, so I've got a little comment in there, and I'll check that in to source control, which is in my Git repo. And having said that, listen, if you're here, do me a favor. If you're not a subscriber, if you're on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're on Mixer or Twitch, follow. If you could, I would appreciate it. And if you follow now and you didn't follow before, you'll see the cool new animation that I've added. And, Rich, I don't know if you saw the animation I added. Rich is a friend of mine, and we work on streams together. And maybe we'll add some of this stuff to our show. So if you want to unfollow me and refollow me before I end this, because I think you follow me already, I think that will work. I don't know if it cares if someone unfollows and follows. But I've got some animation added to this, and I thought maybe we could add some animation like that to the Dev Talk Show. Dev Talk Show tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and I hope you'll join Rich Ross, Chris Gomez, and myself for the Dev Talk Show, where we have fun Wednesday nights. And I hope you'll come back and see me again next Wednesday at noon Eastern, right here for Schwami Streams. Oh, there it is. Oh, the Dev Talk Show is now following. See that? Okay, you see that animation? How cool is that? Okay. That is cool. I've got animation set up for Mixer, Twitch, and YouTube. Rich, hopefully we can add that kind of stuff to our stream. We've never done any of that stuff for the Dev Talk Show either. So now that I know how to do it easily, we can do it. Having said all that, let's wrap it up. I hope you guys stay safe. Have a great day. Have a great week until I see you again next Wednesday at noon for Schwami Streams. Thanks so much.